We're going to start off with the Pistons, though. Last night they did something that we haven't seen a whole lot of this year, and it's been a disappointment we haven't seen a whole lot of it this year. But last night they literally showed some fight, and I don't say that too flippantly. Look, this is a team that has struggled mightily on the defensive end. They're giving up points like crazy this year. The third quarter in particular has been a problem for the Pistons. And at some point last night, it looked like it was again going to be a problem, but the Pistons battled through it and ended up just being a deficit of 2 points in the third quarter. But for the game, they had it well in hand. They held Orlando to 47 points at the half. The Pistons had scored, I think it was 66 points. They had 66 points at half. That's huge. Giving up the 47 at half, that's even more impressive. Now, the fact you're doing this at the end of the half, that's when the fun started, if you will. Ball from Orlando is passed around. It gets past Mo Wagner. It goes into the backcourt. He's chasing after it. Killian Hayes is chasing after it down the sideline. And Wagner deliberately bumps Killian Hayes. And it makes it worse because Killian got off balance. And he's off balance as he's bumped out of bounds. And he's got nowhere to go but either, well, it's going to go into a crowd. And he was going, fortunately for him, he was headed straight for the Pistons bench, basically. But it was going towards the crowd or going into the bench. And when you're going in off balance and awkwardly, it's a dangerous moment. That's a dangerous play. The result was that, Killian gets off the bench. And he's like, what? And he's looking at him like, what the heck just happened? Diallo comes from behind Wagner and kind of, pushes him a little bit, just gives him a little shove in the back. He goes further in towards the Pistons bench. Isaiah Stewart's there to grab him, not to grab him to beat him up, but just to hold him up so he doesn't, fall or hurt himself. Then Killian shows up on the scene and kind of throws this half punch, half forearm thing to the back of Wagner's head, and Wagner's acting like he was, playing in the World Cup recently. Unconscious. Oh, the humanity. Everything looks worse than really what it was, right? Fortunately, calmer heads prevailed there at LCA. None of the fans did anything stupid. You don't want. I saw some dumb headline today about malice at Little Caesars Arena. No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. Don't compare it to what happened at the Palace. That's an ugly moment from the past, and that's another word that gets thrown around. An ugly incident at LCA last night. It wasn't that ugly. It really wasn't. It was guys pushing and shoving. It wasn't even a whole lot of pushing and shoving that happened after the fact. The Orlando bench emptied up. They came running over to try to help their teammate, but there was no hostilities, really. The Pistons weren't yelling anything at the Magic players. It was over and done with, right? Killian Hayes had gotten his pound of flesh. He already hit him in the back of the head. Wasn't that big a deal. He's likely to get suspended. He deserves a suspension. But I think maybe what it does for this team is maybe it provides that spark that this team needed. Now, I'm not a real believer in one incident happening and galvanizing teams, and yet it has happened. That fight that the Red Wings got into in March of 97 against the Avalanche, that was a moment that galvanized the team. Everybody stood up for each other. It wasn't just McCarty out to get Lemieux. Everybody fought in that game. I mean, it started off with Igor Larionov taking on Peter Forsberg, of all things. That's what started all the giant brawl. But that did galvanize the team. It's a good team to begin with. This Piston team is not a good team. The Orlando team last night, it's not a good team. Now, they may be in the future, but right now they're at the embryonic stages of whatever is going to happen. They're bad teams right now. And, for that to light a fire for the Pistons, maybe not. You can make a case for it. You can make a case against it. But I was happy to see it. If nothing else, Killian Hayes stood up for himself, and he saw that one of his teammates certainly had his back as well. And then when those two guys get ejected, the team said, it's okay. We got you. And they were able to hang on. And if you want to call winning by 20 points hanging on, I guess maybe I should come up with a better word, but they were able to sustain the success that they had. And they blew out Orlando by 20 points last night. It's a good move. But I imagine that as it was going on, maybe not too many people were watching it because it's a crappy matchup of two bad teams in the NBA. But at some point, if you got alerts on your phone, it's probably going off. And then you're switching over and checking out what happened. You're going on Twitter and you're seeing video clips of what happened. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. I like how the Pistons literally showed some fight last night. Was Killian wrong in his reaction? And what should be his punishment? Do you think this is going to inspire the team moving forward? And also, what just impressed you most about last night's Pistons game?